us through the objectives, principles, components and processes of RPL assessment stage. The process of RPL assessment is number one, awareness creation and publicity, where you go out and create awareness in the marketplace through social media, through brochures, through banners, through website, even other gatherings where awareness is created for the public to know that if they have a skill and they don't have a certification, there is something called Rpl where they can be assessed and be certified. So after awareness creation, then the candidate is those who express interest, given an expression of interest form where they fill a form like this one here, expression of interest form, where they give their personal details, they tell us about their skill and the experience of their skill, for example, how long they have done that skill. And it's also called the candidate screening form, where we use this form to screen the candidate to know whether indeed the candidate has a skill or does not have a skill. After filling this form, then the candidate is invited for counseling and facilitation process. And the counseling facilitation process, a rapport is created between the counselor and the client, and the client is taken through the entire process of RPL, and then using the appropriate tools like the curriculum and occupational standards of a particular skill, the assessor or the RPL practitioner takes the candidate through the entire process and through the learning elements or the learning outcomes of a particular area, and that will inform the counselor and the candidate to know which level of skill will be assessed and to what extent the assessment will be done. After that, the candidate is supposed to bring, is guided on the portfolio of evidence and is informed on the requirements of the evidence, taken through the rules of evidence, rules like validity. The evidence provided to support the skill should be valid, where it should be related to the skill area. Authenticity, where we look at the evidence provided, is it associated with the person that we are assessing, or the candidate has picked somebody's work and has brought it for assessment. Then the evidence should be sufficient. In other words, it should be able to cover a given competence area that the candidate is being assessed in. The evidence should be current, and currency is measured in terms of time. The evidence given should cover a period of not more than 4 years, so that somebody does not bring something that he did 6 years ago and present it as evidence. It should be the most current as possible. Then the evidence should also be reliable. In other words, the evidence produced doesn't give us consistent results when used in different scenarios. After that, the portfolio of evidence is assessed, and the candidate is booked for the main assessment, where the candidate will come and is undertaken through the process of assessment based on the given learning outcomes. After the assessment, the verdict is communicated to the candidate whether the candidate is competent or not competent, or if there are skill gaps that have been identified, the candidate will be advised to go and fill the skill gaps and then come for assessment. But a candidate who is assessed and found to be competent is certified. And the one who is not comfortable with the outcome is given an opportunity to do the appeal process, and the appeal will be considered, and the applicants are informed about the shortcomings, including the skills, the gaps, and if the candidate is satisfied with the appeal, then can be told to go and still reach the skill gap. The principles of assessment, of RPL assessment, just like the rules of evidence, like validity, reliability. The process should be fair enough, that's fairness, and biased, where you use the common standards, standardized processes to ensure that anybody going through the same assessment will get a fair judgment. The process is sufficient, transparency, and it should adhere to standards of quality assurance. The assessment process is done, and then after that the candidate is given certification. So basically those are in a nutshell, those are the principles, the process of Rpl assessment, the principles and also the components of Rpl assessment.